Hey guys, welcome back to Sip, Savor, and Celebrate. We've got another amazing guest today. First of all, I'm Chris,
And I'm Devin.
and this is our guest, David Suro. And as you can see, we have a massive layout here. David is the brain behind all of Siembra Spirits. And I want to first introduce you as an amazing person because I love these all. What brought you to the tequila world? I'm really interested in the story of because you make more than a lot of other tequila enthusiasts.
Creators.
Yeah, creators,
hmm Um, well, we have to take in consideration that is two different distilleries
Yep,
working, under the same umbrella, the Siembra spirits.
yep,
But that's half of what you have there belong to one
yep.
area of production, and the other one in another region. So, and I, it's now funny because I'm not new in this category. Now I
Right.
can
No,
say,
been
for
around for a
good or
while.
bad, that I've been involved in the industry for over 40 years. And so yeah, we've been very close to the category. Well, first of all, because I was born and raised in Guadalajara, and
Oh, you were? Okay.
when you from Guadalajara, you cannot avoid to be always one way or another with friends or families or people from out of town. You're gonna be dragged into the tequila culture, and I mean it's the epicenter of tequila, Guadalajara, as you know.
Yes.
So from my first direct experience with tequila was in the 1970s when I was 17 years old, and I walked into Cascawin for the first time, and that was something that I obviously, and it's very obvious now, that it put a dent on me, and it makes me look tequila from different perspectives. Not just the spirit that we enjoy to drink and socialize with, but there is a lot of other aspects that are fascinating, in my opinion, when it comes to a spirit that is so emblematic of Jalisco and Mexico.
Yeah.
So I've been attracted to and very involved in tequila for about 40 years now. Yeah.
Well, I want to say thank you for doing that because now tonight we're going to be trying the Siembra Azul's Blanco, Repo, and the Añejo. And folks, I know you want me to tell you all about this, Lydia, but at this moment, I just can't bring myself to open it
Well, I
yet.
can watch.
Whoa! Ah! But you started off with talking about Cascawin, and that's where all of these ones are made from. I had the privilege and honor of actually touring that distillery, and I can tell you I really love that they stick to traditions. I mean, yes, they have a Tahona. Yes, they have a pit where they can actually pound out the agaves for your ancestral. Yes, they have cement tanks. They've got wooden tanks. They've also got your stainless steel. They literally have everything to make it as traditional as possible, and they cater to a handful of people that really do keep that in mind how their tequilas are going to be. Um,
Mhm.
we also had the privilege of going to Viva Mexico and hanging around the night with Sergio Cruz. He took us around everywhere inside over there. So we had the privilege of being in both places, and you could
Mhm.
have picked better distilleries for both of these lines. And yes, these are from the valleys, and these are from the highlands. And to
Mhm.
me, I always get a lot more citrus and mint notes from here. For the valleys, I always get nice herbal and mineralities from that's just a personal palate for me, I think. But let's start off with the Blanco tonight. If you wouldn't mind telling us about how you came about wanting, do you want to open that up? Sure. How you came about the Blanco first, obviously, and then we went into the others.
Yeah. Well, the Siembra Azul Blanco, that was the first expression under the Siembra Spirits project. We start to develop that entire project in the early 2000s. And, we were working with a couple people in Mexico, not yet in the early 2000s on production, but we were, trying to understand the beautiful diversity of flavors that the denomination of origin of tequila, and especially in Jalisco, has to offer to us. Because as you know, tequilas have to comply with the regulations. We have to use only one species of agave, to the contrary of mezcal, where it's endless numbers of species that you allow, But in tequila, it's only one. But early when we start to really take a look of the two regions, the main regions within the denomination of origin, which is the Valles and the Highlands, we were fascinated, of the different flavor profiles the one species of agave generates, depending on the area and the conditions they grow under, what we call terroirs. The terroir of agave's spirits is fascinated. I don't think it's any other alcohol beverage that it has such a diverse and complex terroirs than tequila, mezcal, bacanora, raicillas. So Siembra Azul was focused into bring those characteristics that you find on the high elevations, on the 6,000 to 7,000 feet above sea level, and that dry climate, that cool climate, it has a true impact on the development of the raw material. So, the cooler climate has the tendency to slow down the metabolism of the agaves. Therefore, they're going to mature. They're going to need a little bit longer of time to mature. And therefore, typically your sugar content, the bricks in your agaves from that specific region, they're going to have characteristics as you sense when you taste it. There are tequilas that are more approachable. They are easier to drink because the sugar levels are very high. But and then when you go to the valles, the warmer, more humid environment where the agaves develop, and the different type of soil, the nutrients of the soil, they're different. They're going to give us a completely different flavor profiles. But the only way that you're going to be able to taste those differences is if the maestro that is producing the tequila, the person in charge of take that beautiful agaves and convert those agaves in what I like to call liquid art, if he's respectful to the characteristics of the terroirs and is capable to bring that raw material and process in an ethical way, and apply the wisdom of the maestros to preserve as much as we can of the terroirs where the agaves are coming from. So that's what Siembra is very focused, and celebrate the diversity of the organoleptic elements that the agaves from each of the two regions offer to a palate that is curious, that is willing to explore such a complex spirits like tequila.
And I want to thank you for that, because I I
No,
did.
you don't have to thank me. You
Yeah.
have to thank the maestros and the people starting from jimadores, people in the fields that they are, the true celebrities in the tequila category.
I do agree with
Uh, you know,
that. Well,
farmers who are, they know how to take care of these plants and the people at the distilleries who handle these plants in a respectful way. Yeah,
right. And it really goes back to the community that really it does help how, how everybody gets together, how I mean, this is hard work. This is not like let's throw a combine in a field, harvest up some corn and throw it into there after only 6, 7 months, and then we can start making some, whiskey out of it. But so first of
exactly.
all, on the nose, I'm getting some, first of all, cooked agave. I feel like there's a nice little citrus and mint, even a creaminess to it
I would
almost.
say floral.
You floral on that?
Yeah, I don't know which batch you have in there, but
15.
those characteristics are typically they're gonna be very expressive on tequilas that come out of 1414
Hmm.
and out of that region in Jalisco. But the very interesting thing is that every batch is different.
It's
Every
true.
batch has their own characteristics because I think otherwise will be very boring and
Yes,
very
yes.
suspicious if you have this standardization of flavors. It's impossible to have the same flavors when you're dealing with a vintage of a raw material that it has a minimum of 5 winters, 5 springs, 5 summers,
That's
and
right.
every year is completely different than the
It,
previous year.
you
And
go,
in today's weird climate situation where we are, agaves are very sensitive plants who are also telling us that it's something different. We don't want to get into,
sure,
the global changing views, but
right?
the agaves are plants who are telling us that things are changing because I remember when we go to Lydia, I can tell you that the agaves that were part of that expression, they were agaves that were about 11-year-old agaves,
Wow.
which in the highlands back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, that was pretty standard. The agaves in that region, they
Really?
reach they reach maturity from 9 to 11 years of age. Now, if you see a plant that it gets 7, 8 years old, it's a very rare event because,
Yeah.
again, agaves are sensitive to climate.
Okay.
And,
That makes sense.
so,
Well, Devin, do
yep.
you have any salud, by the way, salud. Do you have any other notes on the nose before we move to taste?
I was just kind of intrigued because um you let this roast for 36 hours, which is a little bit longer than most, and then you ferment it at 68 hours, which is way longer than and most of the other distillers that I know of. So you're really trying to make sure that we're getting everything that plant has to offer. It's not just a quick, tea bag and away we go.
Right? Well, let's see what it tastes like. I'm dying for this now. This one's been on the shelf for a while, but sealed up, and I was waiting for one of these moments.
Beautiful. Eh, you're talking about fermentations, and some fermentations they are very short fermentations, and some of the fermentations that we do in 1414 they can be longer because weather, because climate again. The cooler the temperatures are, the yeast has the tendency to work also slower.
Okay.
So go from start to finish of the fermentation process can be longer due to the weather. Yeah. So tequilas from the winter time have the tendency to be longer fermentations, and tequilas in the summertime the tendency to have a shorter fermentation
Okay.
process. Yeah,
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
yeah. And the cooking is about 3 days. You know, that's the cooking
If you
period
remember
of time.
there, they were talking how they cooked it, they shut it off,
Right.
and then they turned it back on again. When we were there, they were explaining that
Yeah, yeah.
Sergio was taking
It's
us around.
it's a process where you are taking some of the what we call mieles amargas, the bitter honeys, that they are released from the first hours of cooking. The mieles amargas is a natural element on agaves. You know, there are agaves are plants that are covered with a very thin layer of waxes on their leaves. So those waxes, you know, what happened when you apply temperature to wax? It melts, right? So when the waxes melt, they generate what we call bitter honeys. Those bitter honeys have to be closely monitored because if you add too much into the process, you can affect from flavors, but also methanols. So you have to be very careful in how to manage the bitter honeys.
Okay.
And typically, you know, in the middle of the process, when you're cooking, you stop, you drain the mieles amargas, and you hold some liters of that then you can use at the end of your conversion
Okay.
in order to balance those bitter elements of the raw material with the sweet elements of the raw material.
Oh, okay.
And one of the things that you're gonna taste in every of these tequilas is a balanced flavors. That's what it makes a tequila or any spirit a good or mediocre spirit. When you have a balance of flavors, bitterness and sweetness, you know, they are opposite. So the secret of a good product is to balance them in a way they are pleasant to our sensors. Yeah.
Right.
So
I
you're talking about, is that before the heads of the distillation that you're making sure you're capturing those flavors?
no, you're
Yes.
Okay, that's what I
This is
thought.
when you're cooking the plants.
when you're cooking.
If you notice in the label, in the back label of any of the labels that you have
Mhm.
there, it's a technical data
Uh-huh.
that it gives you information related to the process.
Correct.
And you're gonna find there all the time and where the agave is coming from, how the agaves were harvested, which is very important. It's something that I like to emphasize on the type of HEMA that we apply, because that's a conversation that is pretty much been lost on the even with producers of tequila. But depending of the type of HEMA that you apply to the agaves, you're going to control the amount of bitter honeys that you're going to bring into your process. If you notice there is going to be a HEMA either normal or HEMA larga or HEMA rasurada. They are the three type of HEMAs. That batch, I'm pretty sure, is HEMA normal.
Yes.
But the HEMA normal live attached to the heart of the agave, about 2 to 4 centimeters of the leaf.
Okay.
Oh,
So the
really? Okay.
Jimador has to be very precise with shaping the agaves, because that's the amount of bitter honeys you bringing into the process.
Okay.
So let's go back again to the fields. If we have a terroir that, due to the climate and soil conditions and you know the climate conditions, you're going to generate a high sugar content, that's going to be a lot of sweets.
Right.
You can balance that sweetness in the natural way by adding more bitter honeys with the type of penca that you're gonna imply into your agaves. It's just
See, that's.
fascinating, and it's something that not many people talk about it.
I was just
But
about to say that.
And so
a
the bitter honey is because when you're there, in front of the ovens, the floor is always really sticky. So part of like the bitter honeys and whatnot is being spilled through the cooking process and making the floor really sticky because the pina itself is not, right? So am I
Well,
understanding
it's
right?
sugar. It's sugar.
Right.
It can be sticky, but if you notice the floors on the brick ovens, they have drains
Okay.
all across the floor. You injected the steam from there, but also you draining, some of the bitter honeys are usually are released from the agave in the first 6, 7 hours.
Okay.
Now, I
And
have
Okay.
to. One quick. I just want to interrupt one thing. I didn't see, whenever we went one distillery to the next, we did notice that they are leaving some of the green on there, and I've always heard that, yeah, that's the bitter part. But then I thought, well, why aren't they just shaving that completely off? So with your explanation, that makes so much more sense now, because I was never told why they left some of the green on there. I just always like, well, if it's bitter, why wouldn't they just, shave it like a tater and get all of it off?
It can be other reasons too. It can be that for example, this is something very interesting. As you may know, we just went through a very long and painful crisis of agave prices.
hmm
Yes.
The agave reached levels on price that they were never seen before. We break every record on high. And a lot of the agaves are most of the distilleries, they're not self-sufficient with agave. So they have to buy agave. And when the prices of agave are very high, some of the conditions that some of the farmers have for the tequila companies is to buy the agave with a Hima larga. Why? Because that's weight, and you pay for weight.
Right.
So the conditions are, I'm gonna sell you the agave, but it's gonna be a Hima that is gonna be larga. When the uh, when the price is, fair for everybody, there is room for everybody. Well, not everybody, because not everybody does this, but to procure your raw material to be in the best possible conditions in your distillery to process and to obtain a good profile batch. How you know what type of HEMA you need? Well, you take samples on the plantations. You take samples of agaves. If you're going to harvest 1 hectare of agaves, if you take samples on different areas of the plantation, you can average the bricks content of the agaves by sampling a lot of plants. And now you have an idea of what is the average bricks in that plantation. And then you can make the decision of what type of HEMA to apply. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's something that not
Fascinating. Fascinating.
not many people do anymore. I mean, it's either, you know, I want to buy 100 tons of agave, bring it to my distillery by Monday at 8 o'clock, and
Well, I know
It,
that our friend Ana Maria Romero,
she's in the fields every
she
day.
is definitely, she educated us on a lot of things when we were down
beautiful.
there visiting her, and she talked about that definitely, about measuring the bricks, averaging it out, and then she's like, I've got to be there because anything coming in, and she always called the distillery her kitchen.
Mhm.
She goes, anything coming in my kitchen has to be monitored by me because I don't
Of
want
course,
just anything. But
you're
let's talk about the
responsible for.
taste. Oh, sorry about that. What
Okay.
was that, Leslie?
No, no, no. That's your responsible as a maestro destilador,
Hmm.
or whoever is in charge of production. Just to be sure that you have. It's like a chef. I mean, if a chef
Yeah,
has to be sure that he has the best ingredients in order to cook the best food, it's the
exactly.
same thing.
Well, I
Yeah.
want to talk about the flavors that I'm getting off this now. I definitely get some beautiful sweet agave. I get the sweetened agave balanced out with like a white pepper, some mint, maybe just a tinge of anise is what I'm getting on that. What are you getting from your palate?
I would definitely say the sweet agave is there, the citrus is there. I don't see your anise on it.
Okay.
But it's well balanced. Maybe a hint of a citrus note to it.
Mhm.
And it's got a much higher mint content, which is good, but I mean it also kind of leaves you up to think what else could be there because it doesn't hit every receptor on the tongue.
Okay. What do you
Great.
normally get from your the Blanco from the Siembra Azul?
Yeah. Well, I have to do a disclaimer. I have a very bad sensor palate,
Oh, okay.
and I'm not interested in trying to decodify flavors.
Okay.
That's something that really never bring to my attention. I,
Okay.
I'm I can detect obviously the some of the very obvious characteristics of the terroirs from each region. There are some very obvious flavors they there, but just for you to get an idea of how complicated it is to decodify flavors,
Hmm.
uh, by the regulations of tequila, you have to submit your tequila for a chromatographic test in order to obtain your blessing from the Regulatory Council of Tequila. And
Okay.
you are in any good tequila, any good product that is done in the right way, you're going to obtain from 500 to 1,000 different peaks on the chromatographer. Every peak that you get is a flavor and aroma. I
Okay.
find almost impossible for a human sensor to be able to decodify the complexity of these
Oh,
spirits. I
agree.
just like to, I'm more focused in sensations, memories, and stories that
Yeah,
happen during, you
100%.
know, eh, my visit to those distilleries, the moments that I spend at the field where those agaves are coming from. There is those are the essence or emotions that I
Okay.
try to taste in every tequila. To go after, you know, the
Sure.
anisette or the pepper or the green chiles or the all these things that are there, I find it intimidated, you
Okay.
know. So for me, it's fascinated to every sip that I do to experience the emotion they generate on me. I find that more interesting than try to decodify it. Almost probably is impossible to decodify, but it has a beautiful memories. When I sip a Highland tequila, it brings me to the last visit that I did to the region, all the way to the first time I ever was there. And those
And I can
sensations,
understand that. Yeah, I can
yeah.
understand that because even sipping on this one, the only thing I'm missing is some of that Mexican cheese right now because it really does, like you said, it brings me back to sitting there with
Sergio.
Sergio Cruz at his table, like here, try this, here, have another. Your glass is empty. Here, have some more. And
That's
like
true. That's true.
it was family and just hanging out and like he said, he's never given a night to her what he did for us. And then we're walking through his distillery and he's got the ladle out like, oh, you got to try this. And oh, have you tried this one?
Definitely.
I mean, it's just like, brothers that have come home and we're just checking in to see what's going on. So 100% I agree that it
Right.
is 100% about transporting you back to that moment.
Right.
It's the same when we're drinking, the Corrido with Ana Maria because, we were sitting in her family restaurant sharing food and enjoying it, one
So,
of the best margaritas of my life.
right.
So I absolutely am there with you. But it makes it fun to be able to see, what you do get out of the bottle.
Of
So
course. No, of course. I get, for example, the citrus notes that you find in that expression. There are notes that are directly related to the facility. I don't know if you noticed, but when you drive to Viva Mexico, all the area where distillation take place and around to an area that is at the same level where fermentations are, is covered with grapefruit trees and a very interesting
Oh yeah.
species of grapefruits. And they're very aromatic trees. They are very unique from that region. They're grapefruits that you don't see anywhere else in Mexico. And when you are producing a batch and they're very prolific, those trees. They almost have grapefruits all year around. But you can smell that grapefruit in there. It's there.
Yeah.
I did an experiment that it was very cool because I take some of the peels and I dry them in Mexico, and then I bring them with me. And if you break the peel and you smell that, and then you have a sip of a tequila from that particular distillery, is incredible how the influence of that environment that's around the fermentation and distillation areas, that what is the impact of those trees, and that translates into citrus notes, you know.
Wow. Well, let's talk about the
Yeah.
reposado. I see that it was Missouri American oak barrels, aged for more than 2 months, and that Sergio Cruz actually was the distiller on this particular batch. This
Oh,
is
it is.
batch
Oh, but
14. Batch 14.
oh, cool, cool. The but it's very interesting because and this is something very personal. I'm not crazy about aging tequilas. You know,
Okay.
I'm in the
That is actually very fascinating, considered you've got several.
yeah, yeah. But the reason there are some expressions is because when we had to make the decision of aging, and again, I was having a lot of, conflicts with myself because aging tequilas is something relatively new. We don't age tequilas from the beginning. And if you notice, for example, the mezcales, 95% of the mezcales are never going to be in a barrel. And if you see a mezcal that is aged, walk away from that mezcal because it's not the way it's supposed to be. The only reason that we age tequilas is because in Mexico, in a very classist society, for many generations, we have a conflict with agave spirits because agave spirits are linked to indigenous origins. For many generations, it was considered a spirit for the poor people, for the peasants.
Okay.
So the big tequila companies, they were trying to figure out how they can appeal to the niche of, you know,
Sure.
whiskey, bourbon consumers that per capita for generations, that's what we drink most in Mexico. So some of the tequileros, they came up with a brilliant idea and this is only in the 1970s. They came up with the idea to age tequilas in a barrels that were previously used in bourbon, in whiskey, in cognac, in armagnac, to kind of justify these spirits profiles and link them to spirits that were from other parts of the world. So I don't think agave spirits really need the help of the barrels in order to be expressive. Actually, to the contrary, I think the wood or other spirits can interfere with the very subtle profiles that such a complex raw material give to us.
We have definitely
So,
on that because we have seen like my favorites now. I mean, I did come over because of the aged expressions, but now my preference is more the unaged. Like high proofs are my favorite, followed by regular blancos. But we have commented on several tequilas that we've talked about where the blanco has way more flavors and then it gets lost at the end. And believe it or not, I you're not the first one to tell me this because actually, Guillermo is the same one. He said that he doesn't want to get into any extra naos or anything like that because you might as well just go buy a bourbon. He says my
exactly.
tequila is more toward blancos.
Let me put it this way. The reason that I do it, the only way that I was willing to do it, it was to start with barrels that were brand new. So we don't have any influence of other spirits in our own tequila.
Okay.
So we try different barrels. We try French oak, American oak, and we find out that the Missouri oak, the Ozarks, generates this beautiful terroirs for oak. Medium toast, it was just perfect finish for the barrels to give us nothing but the pairing of Missouri, 75 years of the terroir from Missouri, and the 5, 6 years of the terroirs from the DO of tequila. And that's it. We don't have anything else there. There was they've been some reposados that they are wonderful. I really enjoy them. And sometimes I even feel, not comfortable to look myself in the mirror, accepting that I really like this reposado that we just bottle, because I emphasize always about the traditional old school of tequila. It was always blancos. Remember, tequilas, they age before the agaves are harvested. They do the aging process in contact with the sunlight, the energy on the sun, the incredible weather that is on those terroirs. And grain spirits, grape spirits, sugarcane spirits, they need the help of the barrel in order to make them more approachable.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if you ever taste,
moonshine.
cognac or blue shine. I mean, they're very beautiful in their own way, but that not necessarily are as drinkable as an agave spirit.
Very true.
So it's an interesting. But you just mentioned, you nail it. The age expressions is being the gateway to tequila category for a lot of bourbon drinkers, a lot of single malt drinkers. So there is great to have that diversity also within the category, to have aging expressions. And what I tell you about aging is very personal. It's not necessarily is the right or the wrong way. It's
And I
something
love
very
that you're passionate about what you do. And you can tell it because you have given us a great education in just a couple minutes already of a lot of things. So uh, your passion transcends just what you already have in the bottle. And I could see that and I appreciate
I'm only a bridge between very passionate people in the beginning of the
it.
process to you. So
Thank
I contagious by the passion of the farmers, and to see these jimadores, they've been, generation after generation to give us an incredible physical effort and incredible wisdom that they are, learning from multiple generations. That's fascinating and motivating. And I don't think we, as consumers of tequilas, I think we are very distracted by a lot of factors. They're very superficial. We have to remember that if we're talking about terroirs, and we have a denomination of origin. We have a unique characteristics that are that's why they are recognized, these spirits, from a specific region in the world,
There you go.
and produced in a specific ways in order to be able to carry that very emblematic name of tequila or mezcal. So these new marketing distractions and celebrities and fancy bottles, and I think that it takes us away from the real people that put so much effort. You mentioned Guillermo. Look at Guillermo. I mean, this guy, it doesn't need to do what he does. He's economically, he came from an incredible visionaries on tequila. You know, his great grandfather and his great grandfather and his grandfather shaped the industry in the way it is right now. But Guillermo is a very unique case because he wants to continue to do that legacy. When you talk to Carlos Camarena and his family, they are from a different culture because they are from the Highlands region, and it's a relatively new. I mean, we're talking only the late 1800s where that region started to produce tequila, and they were one of the families to begin produce tequila in that region. And for them to continue that, tradition and that knowledge and that wisdom and be so passionate about it. The Rosales family, I mean,
Oh
it's
yeah,
also multi-generational. So they are the real people, that we should salute and look up to in the category, and approach from their craft, what they do in order to preserve that, what Carlos, Guillermo, Salvador Rosales, Fernando González in Siete Leguas, what they still do in order to provide such a unique expressions of these spirits,
yes. Well, I'm going to continue on with the nose and the flavor of the reposado before we get into the añejo.
Go ahead.
While we're nosing real quick, would you tell us about the artwork? Is that
Yeah,
I,
the
I
that's
love
been done by the drawings are done by René Tapia, which is an artist from Guadalajara that I admire as much as I admire everybody on the team of these expressions. He's gifted with his the art of translate our thoughts or our celebrities and to do these beautiful drawings. And the design is done by Paula Silva, which is a graphic designer from Guadalajara. And, we've been having the opportunity to visit the distilleries. For me, it's very important for them not to have a meeting on the studio and tell them that we have this in mind. For me, it's very important to go and smell and touch and taste and see and meet the people that we work in. And that translates into this very unique artwork that they're not pretentious, that we don't want to be fancy. We want to be
I think they
this
all tell a story and they're beautiful.
to tell this story by an artist from Guadalajara, by artists that also are capable to decodify all what happened in these distilleries and to give us these beautiful expressions, visual expressions.
All right, Devin, what do you get on the nose? What do you got on the palate?
So palette is absolutely amazing. I think that um Missouri oak is absolutely amazing. It brings everything out more to me. You're getting more honeys now. You're getting some honeysuckle. You're getting, that beautiful sweet agave still. You're getting that mint. I like the spice that barrel adds because that lights up the sides of my tongue and that completes, the the story and the tasting for me. So what I thought the Blanco was missing, you really nailed with that selection of the wood and with the aging that you've done to it. It's an absolutely beautiful reposado.
No, that's a beautiful description. That's beautiful. I hope the guys behind this can hear your beautiful description of what you just did for their tequilas. One thing I can tell you that I'm very mm, uh, pleased and happy when I taste these expressions is that for me the reposados are very complex, more than the añejos or super añejos when it comes to balance the agave and the barrel. You cannot overdo one or the other.
Correct.
So a good reposado has to be a good balance of the two main elements, the agave and the barrel. So one of the things that I feel very comfortable to always say is that that balance is there. Then when it comes below the balance spirit, everybody's going to identify and decodify different aromas and flavors. But to have 75 years of terroir from Missouri and 6 years of terroir from the denomination of origin in a good balance, not either or
Right.
to
The
eclipse
agave
or
is
to
not
overpower.
lost. No,
That's what it makes a good reposado. And
it is.
in the añejos, obviously the dominant element obviously is going to be more towards the barrel.
Right.
We've been releasing some extrañejos. That not happened lately, but the best compliment I can have is, that the base spirit still speaks loud.
Hmm.
Uh, when you're able to taste that in an añejo or extrañejo, in my opinion, it's mission accomplished.
Right. For me, I still get that beautiful Blanco to start with, and then it's adding a little bit of the barrel spice to it, as he was just saying. You get the oak, you get the vanillas, not like here's a punch in the face vanilla. You just get a nice complement of it. That's what I'm getting.
And connect you to your
Taste.
other spirits that you used to
Yeah.
drink and to bring these memories of
That's
uh,
exactly it. And then
yeah.
it continues on to the flavor palette, exactly what he was just saying. It's giving a little bit of spice, but yet you're like baking spices to me, like your cloves and your cinnamons, adding in with the beautiful Blanco. I absolutely
Mhm,
love it. I think it's a wonderful sipper.
mhm.
And wouldn't be bad with a nice cigar. I'm just saying. Let me rinse my glass out. We'll get on to the anejo.
You would have to find a cigar that is not going to be overly flavored. So you wouldn't want a full flavor, full body because that would overpower
Oh,
that repo for sure. You would
Yeah.
have to find
Yeah, some of
something.
the profiles that in some of the batches of the añejos, I get that, and I don't know if it's just my mind set up because I used to smoke cigars, but I don't smoke cigars for many years. But it brings me back some of the tobacco leaves
yeah.
into that expression. Yeah. So yeah, it's beautiful pairing the a good tequila with a good cigar. I totally agree with that. Yeah.
I'm definitely getting more sweetness on the nose than I had from the other two. To me, I'm feeling it just gives a little more sweetness.
It's very interesting also because some of the reposados that they are rested, even if it's a shorter period of time, if they are rested in a barrel that is relatively new in our proprietary barrels,
Uh-huh.
they're going to be more dominant, some of the elements of the barrel, than some of the añejos that they are aged in barrels they've been used quite a few times in a project. There's it's nothing but their own juice in all the barrels.
Mhm.
but some of the use of the barrels is less and more, depending. We have brand new barrels, semi-new, you will use and being used for a long time. So each barrel always gives you very interesting different profiles. And sometimes I taste on the reposados more of the characteristics of the American oak than in the añejos, and it's just very interesting to understand. I don't think, we really understand quite in depth as a consumers of tequila, what are the main impact on tequila from the barrel. And because there's so many variables in each barrel.
Right, right.
There's so many things. It's the toast that you give to the barrel, the time, the temperatures where you age. I did a very interesting experiment.
Okay.
I fulfilled a barrel in the Highlands years ago. And the same barrel, I bring an empty barrel to the restaurant, and I fill with the same batch of Blanco that we fill the barrels in Arandas, and they start basically aging at the same time, same barrels, but at different environments.
Mhm.
And the flavor profiles were totally different. So there's so many variables,
There is.
and this is going to react completely different depending where you are. Yeah.
What do you get from the palate now on this one? I'm getting a little more peppery. It's more.
Yeah.
I'm getting like this to me was a little bit. Normally, I say my reposados. I call them as my whiskey flair. That's just how I always normally equate it. And then usually anejos to me are just total sweet like dessert, right? This one I feel like it has more of a whiskey flair on the anejo than it does on the reposado for me. On the
Mhm.
nose, I get beautiful sweet, like vanillas and caramels. I'm starting to lose the agave. Like the mint to me is almost gone. It's still very, very pleasant on the nose, but I think to me personally, I would stick between the reposado and the blanco personally a little bit more. But
Mm.
it's a beautiful anejo. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would take that over anything normally at the local bar, if you know what I'm saying, without saying it.
Mhm.
But what are you getting? I'm curious as well.
Um, I think this one writes the best story out of all three bottles. And this is why I'm going to say that. So I think you have continued to choose that perfect wood, which really takes me to that red clay where this peony has been growing. And so you're getting a lot more of the earthy notes, and you're getting like the beautiful influences of, the irons and everything that you would pull out of that. It then transitions into that beautiful sweet agave, which is not lost in any way, shape, or form. It is second to the earth. But then you get the highlights of the Mexican party. So you're gonna get your mint. You're gonna get that pepper. You're gonna get just a complete rounded expression right from growth to harvest. I mean, it is all right there in that bottle. And I'm sorry, I
Okay.
often say a distiller gets 1 out of 3 chances to win their customer. I love the entire line. So, viewers, don't take this the wrong way. I love the entire line, but you do it with that anejo. That
That's your
you
favorite.
have got me with the anejo because it takes me back to sitting in that field in front of the agave. It takes me back to the smells you get when you were sitting there in the field as the sun is coming up, and as you always say, the steam is coming off the agave. I get it in this bottle. I get the flavors that you're pulling from the cooking and the distillation, and I don't think you would be there if you did not give it that time in the bottle, in that barrel.
Now,
Mm.
I had you kind of like offline, and I'd like you to share that online as well. You told me a little story as when you were younger, you went into Cascaween.
Mhm.
Tell us the story of that really got you going on that. And I do have to say, and if you saw me, I just reached for the ancestral. This one is definitely one of my favorites, coming out of Cascaween, for your spirits. And folks, you can always find these guys at siembraspirits.com. Um, and they are out there. Some of them are harder to find. Yes, this one was a very hard to find, but we made a trip down to Indiana. We actually drove there to go find this one physically because they wouldn't ship it here. I couldn't find anybody there to go get it, so we literally made a we're like, okay, road trip. We're gonna go there, and I found that one at Cap and Cork. That helped me out. I told you the story of the añejo. I could only get it out of New Jersey, and you had said that there's some great places in New Jersey that carry the whole lineup as well. But talk about
Yeah.
Cascaween if you wouldn't mind.
Well, Cascawin is one of the very few distilleries that still put in their family pride and tradition in front of all these temptations of modern tequila industry. The tequila industry
That's
is
right.
been in the last, you know, 20 years is been shifting from being almost recognized as a second-class spirit, to now being recognized as one of the best spirits in the world. So that has a very interesting effect in a lot of families and a lot of companies. They became bought out by big transnational companies, and you know what happened when
And that's
big investors arrive into anything, food or beer or wine or spirits.
I literally
They,
have
they
this
dare
conversation all the
they,
time.
they dare with the main reason is to make a lot of money. So tequila, mezcal, and all agave spirits demands one thing before anything else, which is patience, time. And it didn't forget if you are not handled the raw material in the right way. So the Rosales family is very aware of that. And I'm pretty sure they've been having a lot of people to approach them, and it's a lot of temptations even in their own to start to shift into mass production, but they refuse to do that because
Thank God.
They're committed to their family tradition, and that's something that is so important. It's so rare to see. Same thing happened with the producers that I mentioned early. The Camarenas, Erickson, the Gonzalez, Fernando Gonzalez on Siete Leguas. They've been very careful and not to take their pride and their family name into levels where it's just make a lot of juice to make a lot of juice. And yeah. So the Rosales for me are some of the families who are still very solid, and they are very engaged in all areas of production. They are supervised by Salvador Rosales Sr., by Salvador Rosales Jr., by Benji Rosales, which are hands-on 100%. And when you have people who is looking for their own interest, and their own interest is quality, the spirit speaks by himself. So I'm very lucky to not just to produce Siembra Valles in there, but I'm very lucky also to represent Cascawin in the United States. And it's something that I take very seriously. You know, we got the opportunity to represent many brands. A lot of brands approach to us to be import by them or represent by them. But for me, it's extremely important to dedicate the time to every producer that we walk in the way they deserve.
Yeah.
So the Rosales family and Cascawin has been a great relationship. The synergies there and the visions are very, very similar. Uh, they were even willing to go as crazy as you can get in tequila, and the witness of that, to witness that is ancestral. You know, in the 21st century, to have to put on the market a tequila that it goes totally against, all this fast moving and all this efficiency is crazy. But the Rosales allow me to produce this expression. It was very challenge for all of us because I mean, we did a lot of research. I've been doing a lot of research for over 20 years on the origins of the Vino Mezcal de Tequila, which was the original name of tequilas from that region.
Yeah.
And when I proposed to them, I was expecting to hear a no. Why? No way. And the response was, yes, let's try. But they immediately they warned me, say, but we don't know how to do it. So I asked them if they were willing to travel with me to Michoacan to meet the family Vieira, which I represent also in the United States through Don Mateo de la Sierra Mezcales. And in that region of Michoacan, which is next to Jalisco, they still using the same techniques that they were using in Jalisco to make Vino Mezcal de Tequila. So we went there with the Rosales. When they look at the process that they were necessary for us to revisit the historical flavors of tequila, they almost collapse. But they say, okay, we will do it, David, but how are we going to do it? So I invite the Vieira family to come to Cascawin and show
No
us,
way.
how to do this. And it was just, for me, that was one of the number one accomplishments on this project, which was I'm able to put together to reunite the agave spirit family. Usually tequileros and mezcaleros, they don't get along.
Yeah. Oh, really? Really?
Oh, it is a cultural thing. And
I know
and
that.
here to see Chava Rosales, Senior and Junior, and Emilio Vieira Senior and Emilio Vieira Junior to interact and to learn from each other, that for me, that was the rest is an extra. So, we were able to produce this expression by not a gimmicky approach. We were able to produce this guided by people that is still doing today in the old ancestral ways. So that producer that ancestral is the result of more than 25 years of working in develop this expression, and they are not, it's a rare to see because every batch that we make is usually, with the exception of one batch that was about 1800 liters, but usually there are batches of about 700 liters at the most. And United States is a big market, so that diluted very easily through the
Right.
market. But yeah, it is a remarkable efforts of mezcaleros, tequileros, and it's now available for consumers. They are curious and they're interested to taste what tequila used to taste before industrialization.
David, tell me a story. Should I open this?
Oh, I don't want to take advantage of you right now because you
No,
already
tell me. Should
you're,
I?
you're already vulnerable because you already have few tequilas
I
in case
have, but
if we have
I
the
don't think I'm ever going to
tendency to
sell it. I don't think I'm going to
uh,
sell it. But
as I tell you, you're gonna open that bottle when you feel that you're gonna open that bottle. Your heart and your hand is going to act before your brain, so
I'm
uh,
gonna do it so
I can tell you the
bad.
story
I'm gonna
about
do
it.
it so Please, bad. Yes, tell me the story. Why is all right? Tell our audience why is Lydia? Why out of all things this one bottle that I did find in the wild in Indiana at the normal price of $189. I bought it at $189, so I did not pay $1,000 for it. But right now on the secondary market, this bottle is so hard to find And when you do find it, it's $1,000. It's at the status of Pappy Van Winkle.
It's unfortunately that happened. It was not meant to be that way. But Lydia is expression that it was done taking in mind my mother's memory. So obviously, it's the image of the beautiful lady on the label is my mother.
Is it really?
Yeah. It's Lydia Piñera, and I have the fortune to be raised by an incredible woman to show me a lot of things. And she was a chemist. She was somebody to never drink a drop of alcohol in her life.
What?
But
And she's on one of the most valuable tequilas in the world.
but she always motivate me to continue to do anything that I have in mind. And she passed away many years ago. And when I was looking at these batches that I collect from at Vivancos, I noticed that it was a beautiful expressions of añejos and reposados. And we come back to those 11-year-old agaves. I find out that it was some añejos in there. They were produced in the early 2000s with agaves that they were, 11 years of age when we harvest them. So we're not going to see that anymore. That's not going to happen again unless some genetic engineering, going to modify agaves and go back in the opposite way that we try to bring them in laboratory tests. But I decide to put out there. I feel that it was the right time for me to honor my mother in the stage of the project where I was. I have these beautiful tequilas. So I have I usually don't like to get involved like hands-on the process because for respect to the people at the distillery, I have so much respect. I don't like to call myself a tequilero by making tequilas. I know about tequila a little bit, but I will not get
Do
myself
not
at the.
undersell yourself, sir. You know
I
more
don't want to. I
than
don't
the
want to stay.
average person.
I don't want to stay next to people who are producers and maestros
I
destiladores.
respect that,
So,
sir.
but in this particular batch, I did get involved on blending the batches, and it came something very beautiful that I think it was again this spiritual part, the spirit part of the spirits that you have in your hand
So
is
what I'm hearing is that this brings your story and your story of those all making it full circle. So not only
yeah.
are we celebrating your mom who brought you here to make these beautiful spirits, but it's also bringing the story of each one of those people that harvest and work and process your tequila
All
to
right,
bring your vision to
I'm
life
doing it.
Uh-oh.
full circle.
For your mom, I'm doing it right now.
Oh my goodness, that's
Your mo-
wow.
Actually,
Thank you.
this artwork is absolutely beautiful. Your mother was very, very beautiful.
And I want to take a 30-second, half a second, conversation real quick. We talk about sip, savor, and celebrate being a family. And when we come down to Mexico,
There it is.
there's the pop, guys. That's Lydia. When we come down to Mexico, everyone there is so welcoming. And hey, you guys are our family. Make sure and come share food on the table. Come share a meal with us. And and I definitely think that from your story, you have embodied all of that into this bottle. My hat is off to you, sir, because that is amazing.
I'm very lucky to have a mother like Lydia, and I'm very lucky to work with people in the agave spirits culture. Yeah, no, it's a very special batch, and Again, I
I
can't
back
remember how much was the price on the market, but and
I
it's
paid
not
189 for it. I did pay the market price. And it was one of
okay.
those experiences in my life that was like, have you ever like just kind of strolled down the aisle and then like you had to take a double take, like you couldn't believe what you just saw?
Mhm.
That was my experience when I was at this little itty bitty store in Indiana. And I was walking down the aisle and I'm like, wait a minute, I know what that is. That's not supposed to be out in the wild. And I
Yeah, no,
found it.
I just learned of somebody bought a bottle in a secondary market for, I don't want to say the amount, but it was,
It's
I find it
$1,000.
I find it offensive, in different ways,
Okay,
because I think sometimes people refer of prices like, like you are you were hunting something and you have a trophy, to show, and I get it, and nobody's gonna get it. And that's difficult to control, because I mean we are about to release in United States the Cascawin Siete veces 10. It's finally just arrived to our warehouse, and it's
I
gonna
have two
be
bottles on the way. I have two bottles on the way. My friend is in
beautiful.
Cozumel. He's in Cozumel right now. I had another friend that I made while I was in Mexico that went to the
Beautiful,
Cascawin. He bought two
beautiful.
bottles. He shipped them to my friend that's staying in Cozumel right now, and it's going to be there in 2 days. And he's going to bring those two bottles back.
Yeah, but some people is already offer me to buy cases and cases because they want to supply the secondary market. I say no. And the Rosales set up a price, the estimated price depending on which market in the States, because you cannot compare the prices with Pennsylvania and California or New
right.
York or Illinois.
Yes.
But the
I do
price,
want to talk about the Northern system.
the suggested price for this expression is going to be from 190 to 220, depending on the market that it's going to be. And
Yeah.
I think that's something that is extremely fair price. A lot of people start to talk about prices just by amount of money. Well, this batch is costing this much. Why is so expensive? Or why is so cheap? Or why is I think in order for us to criticize a price or to evaluate a price, we really have to understand what is involved on the making of that particular spirit.
Yes.
I have the honor to represent Mesonte, which is an agave spirit that is very unique. It's very small batches. And some of those bottles, they cost $170 on the market, on a retail price. And people are like, well, it's too expensive. I say that is probably one of the cheapest spirits that you can buy, considering that you have agaves there. They're produced by a maestro that is 90 years old, that is produced from agaves that are 20 years old. What is the price for that knowledge on that maestro? You know,
No, and
so
that's exactly
agave
right.
spirits is still fighting against the stereotypes from the 80s, the 70s, the 90s, where tequilas was a cheap alcohol that you just drink to get drunk and period. But where you have some tequilas that are still produced at that level of quality that is so cheap at a very high price in a very beautiful bottle, and
Like
you have
Casa de
tequilas that are
Granas.
remarkable,
Casa de
and
Granas,
people.
I refuse to buy it. It's like 100 and whatever. It's disgusting. It has been made with a diffuser that uses acid to change
Well,
that
and,
starch.
and the only
No.
reason that we're gonna be able to balance the category is by having conversations like this, having it's more education involved. We need to get more aware of and rid of a lot of the layers of distractions that we get
Yes.
every single day bombarding. It's
And
like,
and I want to say that is where we struggle as a channel is because we are bringing people like you that are very knowledgeable, bringing, you know, your spirit, your story, your respect for the region to us, which we are super blessed to have you. Thank you, and I appreciate that. But that is where we struggle as a channel, because we're not that quick. You know, oh, I can watch this in 30 seconds and I can, you know, move on and love these guys because they post, you know, these quick, you know, clips. That's not who we are. We love to share your story. And I believe that's one reason why Ana Maria and Sergio Cruz and Hacienda Vieja and Antonio Renee over there.
Renee's an awesome dude. I'm gonna tell you.
It is. It's a
Haven't
very
met
cool
him. When
guy.
you're down there next week, I invite you to go over and see Renee, because his spirit for
I know
the
him. I know
love.
him, and I've been very fortunate to share time with him. And
I'm sorry, but his thrive for life. He's
yeah,
just yes, he has an amazing nose and palate for spirits, but his Instagram that I follow as well, and when I had a few moments to talk with him, he has this like this passion for life, and like he'll stop on his bike ride and just appreciate a flower or something that happens to be on the trail that he
mhm,
is on. And to me, that's the spirit of life. Stop and smell the roses. Even though it wasn't a
mhm.
rose, but still you get what I'm saying, right?
And you know, I was lucky enough because I had to leave early. He had to call and say, "Hey, when are you coming home?" His words exactly.
Yes.
When are you coming home? Because we need a cigar. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm at work and I'm getting this call from him in Mexico.
Yes.
Your brother here, where are you? Why are you not at home? I will
Yeah,
never forget that because that was a life changer.
great
I
people.
do want
That's
to
one of
talk
the.
about this bottle though,
Yes,
because
we have
it
to
is
talk about Lydia.
absolutely amazing. I'm getting beautiful agave. I'm getting beautiful banana.
Yes.
There is an
I
amazing
do get the
citrus to it.
I get the banana, I get the beautiful sweet agave, I get
That there's a grapefruit element to it
I
that is absolutely, you know,
kind
And you
of.
know, some of those flavors, they are most likely never going to happen again because
I know.
agaves are changing. You know, some of that intensities that you detect on those profiles, or the combination of those profiles, they just not going to happen in our lifetime again. You know, and that's the beauty of these spirits. Yeah.
but
Uh,
I
it,
mean, raise a glass to you and your
Your
mother,
mother,
Lydia. Yeah.
Lydia.
Lydia.
Yeah.
Salute.
Yeah. Salud. Thank you for opening the bottle. That's a incredible compliment. Yeah.
That is such a beautiful sip. I'm
It's also
getting I'm
well,
getting
one of the things that I like when I try Lydia is also that very beautiful balance. It speaks, you know, sweetness, bitterness in a very even way.
you
The
get that.
barrel emerged, and then the agave came and had the same level of conversation, and then switch again. It's a spirit also needs to breathe, this one.
Okay.
Even because it has some añejos, they were very añejos, So I always recommend with Lydia to let it breathe, and it's going to be very expressive. It's like having a different conversations with the one spirit. You start in one topic, and then it takes you to another topic.
Yes.
And like for example, when I open bottles, that I know they're gonna be loud and complex. I usually like to do when I don't have that many distractions, because I know it's going to be a different dialogues that you're gonna have with that spirit. And that's the
Sure,
beauty.
you
That's
have
what I
4 or
like.
5 bottles of this for your at your own home. I'm sure you have to have it.
Yeah, I do. I do have, I believe, uh, 2 6 packs. They're there. Most of them they're gonna be for my kids and grandkids.
Oh my God. Well, you took a funny moment and you made that amazing, okay? You're leaving it for your kids. That's almost like Sophie DeBeck, where she had left some of the
Kaye 23.
the Kaye 23, this one. She
Yeah.
said she's leaving it for her son. So because she made that for her son, once he turns of age, that he can
18.
start drinking, 18, and then
Yeah.
she's got 1 bottle per year until he turns like 25 or something like that.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah, I
for
mean,
that.
this obviously, and Sophie is also such a passionate member of the agave spirits community, and super smart and knowledgeable, and those type of actions of saving is because these spirits represent for us more than just a spirit. I mean, it represents places, times, evolution of the projects, and who can be better to share with than your own kids. I'm very fortunate because my 3 kids are very involved in the business. They're very involved in the restaurant business, and they're very involved in the spirits business, and they're very passionate about it. So for
Tell me
me to
about
be
your
able
restaurant
to,
then.
I'm sorry,
Tell me about your restaurant then. I want to go visit your restaurant.
the restaurant burned out. That's
What?
what I can
Wait a
tell
minute.
you right
What?
now. Yeah, we have a devastated fire
Oh,
a year ago. And we were caught in the middle of this legal and goofy battle with insurance companies because the fire was caused by a third party, and we were not able to start restoration into the 2 insurance companies settle and then allow us to touch. So we are in the middle of trying to reopen the restaurant. And it's
oh,
a restaurant that has been open for almost 40 years. And we are in downtown Philadelphia in a historical building. And we are expecting to be reopened sometime in May, in the end of May, and retaking, this restaurant and to bring back the 50 families. They've been part of this restaurant for almost 4 decades. Yeah.
Well, do us a favor.
please.
When you
Yeah.
do, send us a message because we will hop on a jet because an electric car won't make it
Oh,
on
shit.
one charge. We are gonna hop on a jet and we are gonna come and we want to share a
Oh, that
glass
would be amazing.
a glass of spirit with you. But I want to see and we want to bring our viewers your family legacy.
We do like to do not only reviews of spirits, but we do, if you follow our channel, we do reviews of restaurants as well. But that aside, I want to pay homage to your rebuild.
Mhm.
And I can't wait to
You
try
should
your
talk to my son Dan Marcos. He is out of the 3 is the one that is more engaged on the spirits part. David, the older one, is an operation of both restaurants, but both areas of the restaurant. And Elisa is more in the management finances of the operation. But Dan is the spirits guy. Uh, and you will have a lot of fun with him. He's very knowledgeable. He knows a lot, and it's very interesting the perspective. Because I have one perspective as a guy who is older and has been engaged in different stages of these 4 decades of the evolution of agave spirits. But Marcos really understand, these new generations, the how to decodify the sensors and perceptions of young people. So reach out to him. he will be
All
a
right. Well,
good
you
guest.
let me know. You've got my contact information. I would
I send
love
you
to
his
reach out with
Instagram.
him.
I send you his Instagram
Please do.
information. Yeah.
Because I am, first of all, I want you to know that I am humbled that you have visited our channel with us, that you're sharing with our audience.
My
I
honor. Hmm.
Your interview with you has exceeded my expectations. And
Oh
I
my
am
goodness.
humbled to be in your presence because, first of all, yes, I love all the spirits that you have brought to us. But I'm
I'm
now,
very humble. I'm very humbled that you opened that bottle because I know you were uh,
I
thinking about
didn't
it,
want
and
to do it,
you know,
but I am
to
so glad that
visit
I did.
the spirit of Lydia. It means a lot, and thank you for that. And
Well,
I
our
just want
channel,
to add before I'm gonna have to go
oh,
very
I know you got
soon,
to go. You got to get going, brother.
but I just gonna share something that probably it will help to enhance the conversations and to continue this awareness and education on agave spirits. And I don't know if you are familiar with this book.
Oh, no.
We published this book this past May. It's Agave Spirits, the past, present, of the future of mezcales. And it was done by my co-writer and mentor Gary Napham, which is one of the most respected ethnobotanists in the world of agave spirits. He's from the University of Arizona. He was close related, was a personal assistant for many years to Dr. Howard Gentry, which is considered the individual, the academic, that set up the foundations of agave studies in the world.
Yes, sir.
So
Savor Gentry,
these
yeah.
books, this book touch a lot of the uh, important subjects, history, politics, social, economical, anthropological aspects of the agave spirits. And the reason that I mentioned is because I think the category and the friends of the category who are walking in, people like you guys, are doing a tremendous positive work in getting the category more sustainable. And the only way that we can make it more sustainable is by prepare ourselves as consumers to ask better questions to the producers, to demand more information from producers, to working on building the future of the agave spirits for the generations to come. So it was 3 years of work on this book that it pretty much navigates through all these beautiful aspects of the category of agave spirits: tequila, mezcal, bacanora, sotol, raicillas. So I highly recommend it, not because I'm involved, but because Gary Natham is involved. Gary Natham
Pick that
is
up.
an individual with an incredible view of what agave spirits are all about it. So I would recommend it
I do
to
appreciate
to look at that book. I have to go. I really appreciate the time and the opportunity to share some agave stories, and looking forward to reconnect in the near future.
you. And
And
you've got my information, so go ahead, let us know if anything else is going on. I am gonna try and get my hands on a couple of the Siembres. I think it's called Melt, the
Siembra
mezcal.
Mental.
Yeah,
Siembra Mental. Yeah. There
try
are
and get
some availability.
my hands on
The
some of these.
people from Benash in Jersey that I told you, they have it.
Okay.
But yeah, they are very unique batches. They are batches of like 100 liters, and
Yeah.
produced by the Familia Perez from Michoacán. This is a highly recommended, highly recommended. Very
Well,
rare.
And
thank you.
let us know when that restaurant opens
Yes.
because
I will.
I'm a fat man. I want food, okay? Give me food.
Well, we will provide, yeah, for sure.
So yes, please let us know and let your son know anytime he wants to talk. We would be more than happy to have a conversation with him. But until then, don't
Always
forget to sip, savor, and celebrate.
David, I'll let you go, but
Beautiful.
we're going to do a quick couple seconds after you leave. We're going to talk about how we smell and taste the Lydia. Just because
Enjoy yourselves, guys. I'm sorry I had to go, but
Oh,
Please,
no,
please.
we
I
great
appreciate
talking
it.
to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
bye.
Salud. All right, guys. So you just heard it from Dave. We appreciate and are so humbled that he joined our channel to go ahead and talk about our spirits. But let's go ahead. We got to talk about this, Lydia, because I'm sorry. I just opened a bottle. I wasn't prepared. I didn't want to, but you know what? I'm super happy that we did.
Dude, this thing is amazing and worth every bit of the hype. That nose is beautiful, agave and banana
So
and
it's kind of-
citrus.
Yeah, it's like there is some banana. There's some soft, powdery notes to it. Here she is. I know. Oh, I see what you're saying. It's a beautiful expression. You're hilarious. There is some banana notes. There's some powdery sweetness. Um, you're ridiculous. That's on the nose, but then on the taste, um, that agave still shines through, but yes, you are getting some notes of citrus mixed with a banana right underneath it. There's some sweet barrel notes. I want to say like a like a I don't want to say vanilla because it's not that
vanilla.
strong.
No, it's not.
But there's something in
For
there.
me, there's a spice that comes right after that banana and that mint, which is absolutely amazing. Um, and then I will give you that sweetness. I think if I were to tell you what the sweetness is, I know it sounds weird. Oak. That's like the sugars of the oak.
I agree with
That's
that.
where I would leave it because I wouldn't want to lead you astray that it's as strong as vanilla or syrupy like maple syrup. I wouldn't want to give you that because neither one of those
The
compare.
barrel notes are coming through, but it's not so overpowering. It's like David said. It's a balance. It's a balance that kind of a sweetness, a little. There's not. So when he says bitter, I'm not telling you like, oh my god, this is like straight. Let me grab a piece of rhubarb and start chomping on it. That kind of bitter. It's not because there is a slight bitterness that brings that sweetness down to a perfect medium. Um, it's like the. I'm sorry. This is amazing. I wish I had more bottles.
So normally, I would think that the bitter is like an olive juice or an olive brine. That's typically my bitter. Okay. No, follow me on this before you
Alright.
judge. So this
Try
is
not to.
typically where my bitter comes from. Can't even say that that is what this is. And it does exactly what he says. Bitter to sweet all in seconds, which makes it wash canceling each other out as a palatable, amazing beverage.
Well, let's not forget our parents sometimes have to be a little bitter to keep us in line, though. Don't forget that, right? So our parents are always a little bit sweet. Well, maybe yours is a little different, but you know.
You said it, not me. I
She
can't
gonna
believe
get
you said
after me.
it.
I know your mom gonna get after me for that one. But guys, I know it's stupid, and I do not condone the $1,000 price tag
No.
on this. I do not
And you
condone
can
that
see
at
that
all.
he was very moved by how horribly priced this is.
Yes.
But he was very gracious that we took the time to honor not only the story, the family, and his mom. Which, you know what?
It is a very beautiful experience. It is a. I know you're freaking out about the darn clinking the bottles. It's beautiful. If you have a chance to be able to taste Lydia's expression, it is amazing. I'm not gonna under. I'm not gonna knock it at all because there's nothing but a beautiful tequila. I wish I had more than one bottle to have, but it's definitely going to be an experience that I am glad we did take at the moment. It is opened, so there's no going back now.
But here's the question. He said it is best after it breathes. So I'm going to challenge you to bring this bottle back on camera
Hmm.
after it is breathed.
All
Well,
right, guys.
we have had an amazing interview. We know that this is
Definitely.
long. I hope that you will choose to watch it and continue to build our channel. Remember, it is a family, and to always
Sip,
sip,
savor,
savor,
and
and
celebrate.
celebrate.
Salud.